how you travel has evolved. With the rise of advanced technology, new innovation replaces old inventions. Effectively, a lot of that old railway history has been erased.
Oh, yeah. There was a station there.
But some people are fighting to bring the past back to life.
At the moment, primary role currently is to keep the steam alive and pass on the knowledge that we've got to the younger generation.
We're doing a lot of work currently in the workshop, upgrading some of our carriages so they're suitable for use.
I think we've really achieved what we wanted to. We saw this opportunity to actually have our own railway running. We just went for it. We did, and we got there.
Most of us didn't want to see these beautiful pieces of machinery destroyed. We felt if we preserved them and maintained them in working order, we could make something out of it. We got going. I'd say go rail. Get off the road. Go rail.
At this location, an important society was established on July 12, 1971. Its founding members were inspired to reignite unforgettable railway history. What I'm talking about is the Van Diemen Light Railway Society. And in 1973, they did something extraordinary. Where I am walking was once an abandoned railway line, until it was fully restored by a group of volunteers. This once derelict site has been fully transformed. That was just 50 years ago.
Seeing some of the trains sitting around here, I enjoyed the idea of being part of that group that brought them back to life again.
The volunteers working here continue to tirelessly restore what should never be forgotten. But it hasn't all been a smooth train ride. This is the Don River Railway. What inspired you both to become volunteers here?
Oh, look, that goes back a long time. With Dad being an engine driver, if I asked Dad to do a drawing for me, he'd always draw a train. I spent all my holidays from about 8 years on steam engines and in the workshops. Back in the early 70s, Van Diemen Light Railway Society had kind of started collecting stuff, so I got to know the early members of the society. From then on, there was no turning back.
Well, I did join in 1971. That's one thing I do remember. I tend to forget a lot of things, but I don't forget that. Where I lived in Bristol, it was a natural thing to follow trains and engines, and it seemed to be the centre of the Great Western Railway. I just got interested in trains here, and it followed me out here. I think once it gets under your skin, it'll always be there.
Steam is what we really enjoy. We want to keep that alive as long as we can. There's a lot of skills that have disappeared over the many years. Keeping that going is important for the future.
The Don River Railway commenced in 1976. Do you know what the main inspiration behind it was?
They were looking for somewhere to start a preserved railway. Looked all around Launceston and up in the northeast. One option was here, the old Melrose line.
We would be all over the state getting different things for this railway, whether it was track or sleepers.
Their goal was to preserve early railway equipment, open up a museum.
How was the Don Railway Station constructed at its current location?
The Don Station at the moment is the ex-Ulverston Railway Station. That was going to go for scrap, so we put our hand up as a society and it was donated to the society. Steam was going out, a whole modernisation program going on. Equipment was either going to be scrapped or sold off. There was a chance for Tasmania to retain some of its history. There was enough members to recognise that and to get in and get it before it was too late. We spent many hours at weekends picking up sleepers from the Emu Bay Railway. This site was all bare. It had all been pulled up and demolished. The track used to come from the Don Junction and just run through up to Melrose to the limestone quarries. So we started from bare bones, didn't we?
How have volunteers kept Don River Railway alive today?
Volunteers, to me, they were the true enthusiasts. They were there because they wanted to be.
For many years, a primary goal of the Don River Railway has been to reconnect back onto this main line. However, it quickly became evident to me that volunteers are attempting to recover from another overwhelming setback. Just last year, on the 4th of April 2023, fire services from across the coast were called to the railway after 3 warehouses were ignited in flames. This disaster came just as the railway was planning to extend its line. While many organisations would shut down after such devastation, the Don River Railway refused to give in. Can you tell me what caused the fire in 2023?
We believe that one of the carriages, which they were using heat guns on to burn paint off, a spark may have got inside between the inner and outer wall. And that smouldered all day, which no one noticed or knew was going on. And during the night, that's when it burst into flames. Not only when we lost the shed, we lost 2 carriages. One was the last North Mount Lyell carriage in existence, irreplaceable. The other one, the body burnt, but we can reuse the underframe. The old North Mount Lyell carriage, the frame, the steel frame underneath, actually sagged in the middle. That's how hot the fire was.
It was very sad when we heard on the news. The destruction for that fire was horrendous because we lost one of our beautiful carriages, BBL 12. One of our members was sleeping on site that night and was able to raise the alarm quite early. Had he not been there, it would have been far worse, I'm sure. We'll get there in the end. We got there before and they said we wouldn't.
Last year in 2023, there was a major fire here. How did that actually happen?
Basically, we got a scheme that was working here at the railway, and they were using a heat gun to scrape paint off one of the carriages. Unfortunately, some of that hot paint got between 2 layers of timber, and because the carriage had 100 years of dust and detritus in the bottom of it, it smouldered away and in the early hours of the morning combusted and started what was a major fire. At the short term, it's affected us significantly because we've lost the workshop space. We're probably looking at about $3.5 million to actually put into place our plans in the spaces that were permanently damaged by the fire.
I understand there were plans to extend the railway line here. Are they still going ahead?
Absolutely. It's our long-term business strategy, negotiating through with Tasrail so that we can eventually make the reconnection to Tasrail and look at operating potentially initially between Devonport and Penguin.
I used to live quite near a main line, and such names as Flying Scotsman, Mallard, famous engines used to tear up and down this line past the village where I lived.
What was your primary role at Don River Railway?
We had to develop this site. There was 3 or 4 of us, and we were known as the Black Hand Gang. And the Black Hand Gang used to get involved with all sorts of mucky stuff. When we got going even more, we ran mainline trips, which were always well supported. We'd even race the ships. I think it was the old Tasman. We raced it along the coast to Burnie and back.
How did it make you feel when you heard about the fires in 2023?
I got a phone call quite early about it in the morning, and I came down to have a look. You know, I couldn't get in or couldn't come on site until later in the day, and when I saw it, I just thought, oh, hell, you know, what a mess. And when I look now and walk on site and I look across and I think, you know, yeah, it wasn't good. It was not good. Yeah, I'm a bit lost for words there, really. It was a disaster, an absolute disaster.
What was actually destroyed in the fire specifically?
I knew what was in the big shed next door. I knew that's where the carriages were being restored. I knew what was in there. An awful lot of timber. You know, it was all the machinery that was lost some of it quite old. John Bond was a carpenter, woodworker, an incredible man. He built 3 or 4 things, and even there's one machine, a big press, he made the frameworks that could do curved roofs. That's gone.
How do you think it will affect Don River Railway moving forward into the future?
I'm not sure, I mean, I don't know how much longer I've got living on this earth, but I don't know if I'll ever see us hit the main line. I know we're always pushing for it. There are people fighting for us.
What's your view on all of the railway lines being removed from Tasmania today?
Farcical. It's a farce. I mean, when you look at the trains and the loads they can carry, it's brilliant.
We lost a couple of quite old and rare coaches, but we're really lucky that we didn't lose more, and we could have easily lost the entire workshop. At the moment, we've got the 3-kilometre branch line, but I think we should be doing better. There's talk about going mainline, but I think we have a lot of work to do before we're in that position.
Unfortunately, the fires had a massive flow-on effect because our spare parts area was completely wiped out by fire. All our spare parts went back 70, 80 years, and I can tell you now we're struggling at the moment to find spare parts. It's made the battle very much harder. All we can do now is to try to resurrect what's left from the flames.
In the early days, I decided to buy a train set for my son. From there on, we got involved with the Don River Railway. In 1974, I come down here and, we worked from the ground up. It takes a lot of work to do it. I like painting. I do a lot of painting. I've painted most of the vehicles. You definitely got to make sure the boiler's 100%. It's an explosion waiting to happen if you don't do it right. Every 12 months you got to have a medical to be able to drive all the locomotives. Every now and again they test you on your hearing and all that sort of thing. At my age, at 83, so it's very important.
Do you do push-ups to keep fit?
No, I lift heavy sleepers occasionally. Heavy lifting, I can still lift. Yeah, no problem at all.
How long have you been volunteering for?
A couple of years now.
And what's your favourite part about volunteering?
Probably just the smile on the people's faces, and especially the kids. It just makes their day.
After a train ride along the Don River Railway's 3-kilometre return journey, I visited their second locomotive restoration building in the city of Launceston. I also located their founding father, Ian Hall.
I was born and brought up in a house in England which was right next door to a railway line, and there were steam trains going by every hour or so. But not only that, across the railway line was a chocolate factory. So I have a passion for chocolate and steam trains, and there's no cure for it.
You were part of the Van Diemen Light Railway Society. Could you tell me a bit about that?
Oh yes, it goes back a long time, to the 1970s. My wife and myself had recently arrived from the UK, and I was missing my trains. Tasmanian Government Railways seemed to have an attitude that you don't throw anything away. And there were still steam locos that were being used in 1971, which was really unusual. I was talking to my doctor one day, and it turned out my doctor was also a steam enthusiast, and he says, "Okay, why not build our own railway?" So he and I were the founder members. It originally started off as a Launceston society. Nobody in Launceston, including the Launceston City Council, weren't interested. We actually looked at 66 different places to operate our trains. Devonport Council had this old railway that was derelict there that had closed 10 years previously. And as I said, they don't throw things away. And we approached the Devonport Council and they were absolutely amazed at the idea. Well, I was member number 1. I was active on the committee for 28 years. Anything to do with railways we found out very quickly is very heavy, very dirty and hard work. We had no mechanical means of doing it. It was all done by hand. In short, no volunteers, no Don Railway.
What's your view on the railways that are being removed around Tasmania?
It's a very difficult question to answer because it's happening all over the world. In Tasmania, a lot of the lines that are being pulled up is because there is not a lot of traffic coming from there. Yeah, yes, it would be very nice to have steam trains running up and down there, or even diesel trains running up and down there. People will come over for them.
What was it like the first weekend that Don River Railway commenced?
Oh, one word couldn't describe it. It was absolute magic. You could see the future evolving around us from that day.
Now, points are how you can change direction from one rail to another. And we want to go back down that way. So we had to move the coach up and down. The station was down there. This has all been put in by the Don Railway Group.
Effectively, a lot of that old railway history has been erased.
Oh, yeah.
With the building of UTAS.
There was a station there. There's a lot of it is still here. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of history. Growing up in England, I'd always wanted to be an engine driver, of course. Having come out to Tasmania, and for good, I joined the Don and worked my way up through the ranks of engine crew and finished up as a steam engine driver, which I think is one of my great achievements. We worked very hard, in those days, laying track, and then keeping it in good order. That was the next problem.
And it's all voluntary work. Yeah, that's what I find incredible.
This shed was built and it's sort of, been established as an outpost of the Don Railway. Most people, don't realise it. We're very much Don, and we work hand in glove with them.
Why is it here in Inveresk?
Well, this is the basis of the railways. On this particular bit where the rails all are, we've got a 99-year lease on this to maintain the presence. Tasmania's railway history is really quite amazing. It's full of all sorts of funny little bit railways and different engines and whatever. We had the first Bayer Garrett here, which is a particular type of steam engine.
What type of people would have travelled in this carriage?
Rich people, I would think. First class was always quite a bit more expensive. The officials of the railway itself might well have used it, I think, the privilege passes and all that sort of thing. But you'd have had to have been fairly wealthy, I think.
What route would this carriage have taken?
This would have been the main Burnie, Launceston, Hobart and perhaps the Fingal Valley.
The Duke travelled around Tasmania. 1924 in the Royal Train it was, hauled by an A engine.
There were 3 or 4 royal trips around the state.
We were lucky enough to get the original car, and our members in Launceston restored it back to the condition it is, which is terrific. We want it to keep going for generations to come.
This is the biggest preserved railway in Tasmania. I think you just look around you and you can actually see everything is priceless to us.
Do you think it would be beneficial for Tasmania to have an official passenger railway?
Oh, I don't think that's a fair question to ask us because we're biased.
It would never happen because all the infrastructure throughout the whole system has been ripped down and knocked down, taken away, and there is absolutely nothing in the system now.
We should have confronted that idea in 1978 when the Tasmanian government decided to close it.
It's a very twisty, turny line. I mean, the track's far upgraded now to what it was in those days. I mean, they've done a huge amount of work. Train days, you walked to the station, waited for the train. Train came at its time. You got on it. You got to your destination, probably about 6, 7, 8 hours later.
The railways are too slow. I think there is a potential for extending those preserved railway heritage experiences further afield on the main line, but not necessarily on a daily basis.
What do you hope for Tasmania to achieve in the future of railway travel?
You'd have to be a super optimist to say that there would be a commercial tourist rail, that there has to be a lot of changes. We're a long way behind the 8 ball. I'm hoping that one day we'll get there, but I think it's a long road.
Yes, the biggest handicap is getting connected to the main line again.
One of our members that we remember fondly was Ray Howe. Ray was a boilermaker, welder with pulp in Burnie. One of our first mainline trips was that, let's give it a go. And it was a can-do attitude, and he ended up becoming our president. for a period, and Ray was fully involved when we were doing all the sheds from a society very, very well respected. And that's what I think is the heart of the society, is the people willing to chip in and do work. And that's why I think we're still surviving and all goes well for the future.
Do you feel proud of how this railway has developed over the many years?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. The train trips were always well done. I mean, we've had our trials and tribulations. Everywhere does.
Despite any obstacles, the Don River Railway has persevered for more than 50 years. The only stumbling block it now faces is a buffer at the end of its line. Will they ever connect to the main line? Volunteers have answered this question as they continue breathing new life into their vision.